All right, can I get a quick mic check for you guys?
Howdy,
Hello.
howdy.
Hello.
All right, you guys ready to start?
Hell yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I'm excited.
Um,
I've been
all
away.
right.
I've been gone. I'm ready to do things with people again.
Haven't you been doing things with people like all week?
Yeah, but not on stream. It's been in person. That stuff gets old.
Valid.
Ugh. Old way.
It's overrated. No, I'm kidding. It was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff later. Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a show about gaming on a budget. I am your host, Danny K. With me, as always, one of my beautiful co-hosts, Mr. Greenlee. Wait, which way? That way. That way.
You go. You're like Mr.
Green. Mr. Greenlee.
Who?
How
Who?
you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Danny? And no, you.
I am doing fantastic. As always, I have RevSven with me. How you doing, Padre?
Doing really well. Thank you for asking. Kisses.
We got a lot to talk about Dream Hack with you, but we also have a special guest. Yeah, you. Elliot Argues of Elliot, or Tessa and Elliot Argue, and the Budget Arcade. How are you doing, Elliot?
I'm doing great, man. How about you guys?
I'm doing fucking fantastic now that you're
Me
here.
too. Oh,
God, I love that we've gone like 3 weeks in a row now, dropping an F-bomb in the first 5 minutes, and I am here for it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm doing it very intentional now.
The F word is my spirit word.
So for anyone who doesn't know you, Elliot, tell the folks what you do and where people can find you.
So I do podcasting. It's my passion project, some would say. I do 2 podcasts. One with my wife, Tessa. We do Tessa and Elliot Argue. Every Sunday, we come out. We talk about weird news that we kind of found. And then I get too personal and she yells at me, about all kinds of things. So it's great. And then I do another one with Scott and Jeff. We do Budget Arcade, where each week we review a free-to-play game. And I give it my seal of approval, and Scott and Jeff just kind of are there, around.
Yeah, which this is your second time on the show. We've had Jeff on once. We were supposed to have Scott on this time around, but it didn't work out. So we decided to still have decided to have the Budget Arcade rep on.
Nice, yeah.
Because we have a lot of interactions on Twitter with you guys, and it's always just a fun time talking to you guys.
Look, not to be that guy, but like I don't watch a lot of Twitch. It's just not like a thing. But like the 3 of you guys, like Rev, I literally bought Children of Morta because I watched you play it, and I was like, I mean, I wanted it, but watching you play it just sealed it. I'm not a big Destiny guy, but it's fun watching Mr. Green Elite, either do really good or just get like smashed sometimes because it happens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and then cuss the whole time.
yeah, so I don't watch a lot of Twitch, but I definitely try to catch the 3 of you guys when I can. So I always enjoy it. So,
aw, giving us the warm fuzzies.
My heart.
My heart. So just a reminder before we get into the meat of the show here, we are sponsoring Dead Shadow Zero of the SWA Motorsports Racing Team in the SYMI Racing League. He'll be racing once again this Saturday on February 29th, 2020, so be sure to follow him and SWA Motorsports on Twitter. Do we have any other housekeeping that we need to get out of the way real quick, guys? Otherwise, we can let Elliot start right into his review.
I have about 4
Drink your
cans I
water.
need to clean up out of here, but aside from that can wait till after.
Cool. Well, Elliot, you've been playing a game, and
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear about it.
yeah, I picked up it's called Snack World Dungeon Crawl Gold because it's not the first version of this game, but it came out on Valentine's Day. I picked it up, I think, the weekend after. I saw it for $10 off that first week, so I snagged it up. So it's it's basically a dungeon crawler. You kind of operate out of a hub world, a lot like Dauntless. So if you're kind of familiar with that game, it kind of works the same way. You get your quests, you go to a dungeon, you get gear, you get armor, you get more quests. You have awkward cutscenes. It's weird because it's a game that seems aimed at kids, but there's a lot of adult humor. A lot of the evil vegetables are wearing highly inappropriate attire at times. Things that like you'd wear in the bedroom. Um, so you operate out of like the Tutti Frutti Kingdom. You live in the Muff Inn. So it's a lot of that. Yeah. It's a lot of that kind of crap. Um, you work for the king. He has a daughter who calls everybody daddy, whether it's her dad that she's talking to. Yeah, so it's like that kind of stuff.
Sold.
I
Yeah,
have the strangest erection.
that's yes.
I don't understand how anyone could ever put sexual innuendos and food together, but I'm sold.
But they do.
You've evidently never watched Seinfeld then.
Never.
So there's a little bit of story to the game. It's not really much. This isn't one of those games you're playing for the story. Again, like I compare it a lot to Dauntless because that's the thing I've played the most that's really really similar to it. Where you're just kind of going from like dungeon to dungeon, and it seems that the dungeons are kind of randomly generated, but also not at the same time, which is kind of weird. So there's not a lot of replayability to the levels, but they are each one's like unique. And the longer you play, the harder they definitely get. The level cap rate or the level of like difficulty definitely raises. Like after the 5 hour mark, I'm about 10 hours in, which I think from what I've looked online is about a third of the way through the game. It sounds like it's about a 30-hour game. But again, it came out on the 3DS like 2 or 3 years ago. And I think it's the second or third iteration of this kind of game. It's made by, I think it's called Level 5.
Yeah.
They make the Professor Layton games. So if you're familiar with those, they're the same company that makes those. So the stuff that I liked, the game doesn't take itself serious. It breaks the fourth wall constantly, which is kind of like one of those fun things. But the system is kind of limited. It's kind of basic. The character creation isn't, it's no like Fallout character creation tools. The combat is kind of generic, but it does change frequently enough. Again, the puns are great for it. So, like I said, I'm about 10 hours in. So, for being about a third of the way through the game, I'm enjoying it. I keep finding myself playing it before I go to bed, doing a couple of dungeons. But I don't think it is something I would necessarily go back to once I finish it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel the need to 100% this game, but I'm still playing it enough to enjoy it that it's not like boring to me. And it does offer multiplayer offers online, which I haven't tried yet, and I think you can even do couch co-op. So my wife is not a big gamer, but this is a game I could convince her to play because it's simple enough that she could get into it. She only plays 2 games. She'll play The Sims and she'll play Grand Theft Auto. Those are like her 2 games. Because she's a serial killer, of course, and those are her 2 games. And so I enjoy the game, but this game does carry a premium price tag with it. It's a $50 game. I got it for $10 off the first week it came out, and then I also had some Nintendo coins.
Mm-hmm.
So I saved another like $7 or $8 on it. So I saved like 18, $19 on it. So if I had not had that, I probably would not have picked this up. I think this is a solid $20 or $30 game.
Mm-hmm.
You can get this on sale for $20. I think it's definitely worth your time, but I don't think I would pay $50 for this game. So
yeah. Just like real quick, it is available, like you said before, on Nintendo 3DS, on the Nintendo Switch, Android, and iOS devices.
Yeah.
And so that's all the time. That's all the places you can pick it up. You said it's $50 on Switch, and that is what I found too. 30 hours of gameplay isn't bad for $50. I'm not necessarily sure, how I necessarily feel about it entirely.
That old adage of like $1 an hour kind of thing for video games, you hear a lot of, and so it doesn't really quite fall under that, I don't think, but
yeah.
But $1 an hour, it's kind of like you can get a game for $3 and play the heck out of it.
Well, yeah, and I've kind of tried to decide, to me, what makes a game worth its money, and I've kind of thought about it in like terms of a movie. where if I'm spending $10 on a movie ticket for what could be 2 to 2.5 hours of entertainment, is a game necessarily worth that?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think about it, and sometimes I think that might be a little too low. But yeah. Anything else? Any questions from Padre or Mr. Greenlee on Snack World?
I have one.
Yeah.
You said it's also available on Android?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same exact version, if I'm mistaken.
Okay, yeah, because I was trying to look through it and I didn't see it, but I wasn't entirely sure because a $50 price tag, obviously they're probably not going to carry that full version over.
Yeah,
Because it's something, as a Dauntless player myself, I'd be interested in trying it out if I could find an inexpensive version on mobile to try out, or if I can just steal my son's Nintendo coin.
Let me double check. I thought.
Yeah, I think there's a 2 or 3 different versions, if I'm not mistaken. This one's called Gold, which I think is the newest of it, and I think it adds a lot more not classes. It adds a lot more weapons and a couple of like post-credit dungeons, I think.
Let me just look up Snack World real quick. So when I look up, so there's another game called the Snack World Trade Jars.
Yeah.
That's the one that's on Switch, 3DS, Android, and iOS. My apologies. This one is the Dungeon Crawl, which, okay.
But it does still fall in the same universe, apparently.
Yeah, it does.
I'm
yeah.
gathering here.
Yeah. And the older ones, I think, are even a little more adult themed, like hidden adult themed. So I think they're definitely aimed a little bit towards older players. So,
which I see. Oh, okay. So apparently, the Snack World is also just a multimedia franchise.
Oh, see.
And it was for English. It's handled by Cartoon Network Australia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the animation in it looks absolutely adorable. So it's something.
Yeah, I kind of compared it to the new Zelda game that came out not too long ago. That kind of claymation look. It's a little, but it's similar enough that's the parallel I drew to it.
The one that came out after, what is it? It's Link's Awakening, right? Is the one?
Yeah, it's the remake, the old one on the Game Boy that they just remade for the kind of a claymation looking kind of style.
Yeah. So
the camera, I will say, was pretty terrible. That was probably the worst part of this game. Was the camera angles get really frustrating, but you get used to it, I guess. So
that's a ringing endorsement. You get used to the terribleness.
You get used. It's addicting enough that you just kind of like get into it and you just want one more dungeon. So.
Speaking of which, have you heard of Raid Shadow Legend? No.
Guys, the next Nothing podcast is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends.
Want to know how I got this water bottle? Guys,
this episode of the podcast is sponsored by Subway. Eat fresh. All right. Anything else in Snack World? Sorry about any confusion there. So yeah, Snack World, the Dungeon Crawl is not available on Android or iOS. Only a different version of the game. Oh, actually, it says here, actually, versions for iOS and Android devices were announced alongside the franchises revealed but have yet to be released. So it's coming.
So am I.
Aren't we all on this glorious day? It's glorious Fat Tuesday.
Don't take away our holiday.
So
don't take that from us.
So, Padre, you had a bit of a trip. Let's hear about it.
God. So, wait, which trip? The one involving DMT or the one about? Okay, Dream Hack. Dream Hack.
Yes. If you read the show notes, I don't want to hear about you going out into the desert and just taking a bunch of DMT.
Peyote and I flew out to Dream Hack to actually work with a little bit more behind the scenes and at the convention with the charity that I'm now the senior community manager for, Anime for Humanity. And we actually ended up not being able to get a booth. They actually denied us one last minute, but the trip was already paid for, so we went out and used it as a networking event. And I want to start off by saying that for a Dream Hack, the indie game presence was actually rather impressive. Dream Hack Dallas, they had a few, but it wasn't near as good as this when it came to indie games. I'll get into some of those titles here in just a moment, but I got to start by kind of just going over some of the fun stuff we did while we were there. If you ever find yourself in Santa Ana, there's or Anaheim, the border got blurry. I didn't know where we were, but there's there's all you can eat sushi places that are absolutely fantastic. There are open air street markets where they have like open mic jam sessions, which was one of my favorite things about the weekend. And then there was, of course, the convention itself. We did a few things outside of it, but a lot of my time I actually spent in the convention because I wanted to be there, kind of putting in the foot traffic. So some of the games that you're going to be seeing coming. I haven't given too much information on this, so this is going to be new to even the podcast co-host. But there was one that I'm actually going to be playing soon because I got into the beta, the closed beta for it. It's called My Beautiful Paper Smile. It is a terrifying creepypasta looking game. I can't remember the name of the developer right offhand, but it's being kind of published through Vicarious, the same people that kind of help with Dead by Daylight. And it kind of had like a Paper Mario meets Bendy the Ink Machine beats or meets oh was it We Happy Few, kind of like that kind of vibe to it, but a lot creepier. So it's kind of like it's one of those, exploration style games where you go through and you're trying to survive the authority. They tell you have to always be smiling, but the artwork is really terrifying. Um, I got to try out a game. This is for all the nostalgia lovers, the Saturday morning cartoon lovers. It's going to be called The Adventure of Chris, and it's about this guy that takes all these kids, kidnaps them, and turns them all into toys. Well, Chris gets turned into a balloon. And so he actually gains the powers of this balloon, and it kind of becomes a Mega Man-esque type game where you go and you beat these different bosses, and you can gain some other powers to kind of help you and aid you in the long run. And it has such a Saturday morning cartoon vibe to it. And I actually got to talk to the guy that made the game. He based it kind of on his own life because he was bullied for kind of being a bigger kid, and he wanted to do the whole, you don't have to look like a hero to be a hero kind of vibe to the game. I got to test it out. Really smooth mechanics for the fact that I think it may be in early access now, but it was a lot of fun to play. So Adventures of Chris is one to keep an eye out. And then the other one that really caught my attention was it was an entire booth of nothing but college students and their games that they're working on because they're trying to get into game dev outside of college. And they had just a whole booth set up on their was it I think it's called I think people call it Itch.io. It's like itch.io where you can kind of like put little free games here and there.
Yeah. Yep.
I will get the website for the show notes and put it in there because I don't have it on me at this moment because there's so many nice little free small 10-15 minute games I think people can enjoy the little stories in.
We have talked about it before. I'll actually drop a link down in there, and I'll be sure to share a link.
Awesome for Itch.io.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, because there were some really nice little games that these students are putting out, and they kind of deserve some recognition on it. But yeah, the sheer just mass of them all was it was very impressive for a Dream Hack because usually Dream Hack is very esports centric, and so you get a lot of gaming product companies, you get a lot of tournaments and stuff, which they had your Counter-Strike tournament, your Rocket League tournaments, and all that. I will say, compared to Dream Hack Dallas last year, it was kind of small, which is surprising because it's in California. But I think a lot of it had to do with the fact they actually had the BYOC on a different level. So there was an upstairs and a downstairs, so it just kind of looked empty. But the tournaments themselves weren't near as like extravagant and gung ho. I don't know if it's because they were filming that Jeff Goldblum show at Dallas last year that may have played a part because it's Jeff Goldblum. But all in all, it was a great convention. Got to meet some really cool people. Got to hang out with a lot of friends and do some neat stuff that you can only do in California. And I will say, I've got to put this out there though, to end my trip, I ended up with the window seat on the airplane I was on, and I was sitting right next to the part on those planes that I used to build, and watching that thing in work while I was sitting there actually kind of made me emotional. Because I miss it. But I was looking out the window over the ocean as we were coming out of Santa Ana, because you fly out and then turn around, and I'm sitting there watching this part that I used to build on this airplane with the ocean and the sunset as the backdrop, and I was like, I'm gonna cry right now. This is gonna be a little heartbreaking for me, but all in all, it was a great trip, and there's gonna be a lot of good games coming down the pipelines that aren't gonna be out till like next year. So I don't want to get too into those yet, because people will probably forget by next year anyways.
Yeah, sounds like an amazing time. You talked about a couple of games. Who were some of the personalities you talked to or met? Anyone awesome that you in particular that you met out there?
Okay, so one person that I've actually been a fan of for a long time, I got to meet, like a lot of your esports teams and stuff were out there, but I've never been a huge esports guy, so I didn't really know who many of them were. But uh, there's this guy, his name's Slate, but his online handle is Nelstar15, and he used to work as community manager for 505 Games back when they were getting ready to put out Indivisible, which, as you know, people who have listened to the show before have heard, I really enjoy Indivisible. Um, and now he moved on to Square Enix. He works as their community manager now, which is a huge leap up. And I've been a fan of him. I've followed him on Twitter for a while, and he's always putting out really insightful stuff about the actual gaming industry. And him, some people from the charity Rise Above the Disorder, which is a mental health charity as well, and a couple of other people from the gaming industry actually they held a panel on mental health in the gaming industry, and it was really insightful. I'm actually kind of putting together a little deal of notes from it to actually talk about and go over, because I feel there are things that people deserve to know, but I want to make sure I kind of get them all sorted so nothing gets misconstrued as I'm talking about, because that's one of those topics that if anything gets misconstrued, it could actually result in more harm than good. But that was probably the highlight of people I met was Nelstar, because I'm a huge one. I was a huge fan of Indivisible, and then turn around, he starts working for Square Enix right here when Final Fantasy VII remake's fixing to come out. I'm like, it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah. Green, Elliot, any questions, thoughts, opinions on what Padre put out there? We're talking about Dream Hack.
You planning on doing it again?
I don't know about Anaheim next year, but we are. I think Anime for Humanity is definitely going to Dream Hack Dallas again, because last year, like Dream Hack Dallas, it had the same kind of atmosphere. But Dream Hack Dallas was just so much more hype because it was just bigger. Like, I mean, like there were more people there, and not to mention they're actually sharing a convention center and the weekend with Acon, the anime, the big anime convention they do every year. They're running bundle passes where you can go to both of them the same time, because they'll be running in the same center. And so DreamHack Dallas is an absolute. We're going to that one. But Anaheim again next year, maybe. A lot of people felt underwhelmed. I could understand why.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it had to do with, because in Dallas, the BYOC area and the showroom floor, exhibition hall, stages, everything was in the same area. They had them separated between decks, so it looked just like way emptier. You'd go downstairs and it'd be packed. Then you go upstairs and it would be like okay. Like if they had everybody kind of in the same deal, there would be a lot more going on, which for some people is fine. But I would like there to be that kind of that hype. I would love the tournaments all to be held in the same area. So that way, like somebody's doing something great, you hear that cheering, and you're like, what's going on? But if you're upstairs browsing booths and something big happens downstairs, you'll never know.
Yeah.
But DreamHack Dallas is I'm even if Anime for Humanity doesn't go, I'm going.
Yeah. Green.
How was the sushi?
Oh, dude, it was the best sushi I've ever had, and I ate so much of it. Oh my god, there was so much. It was all you can eat.
Tantalized my Fat Tuesday.
Yeah, it was. And then we had all you can eat Korean barbecue on night 3, which I had never had, and that was so good.
How much bulgogi did you eat?
Bulgogi?
Dude, I ate so much bulgogi. They made the mistake of giving me alcohol. When I start drinking, I become a bottomless pit with food.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I had to tell them, I was like, "Listen, y'all are going to have to stop, or I won't."
Yeah. Did you get what were you drinking? Were you drinking soju?
I was drinking soju. I had regular and strawberry soju. And I was there with, of course, my Anime for Humanity friends, and then there was a couple of people from Zelda Universe that were hanging out with us because the graphic designer lady that works with Anime for Humanity also does the work for Zelda Universe. So we were all kind of together as friends, hanging out. And I had never had soju. I had never had Korean barbecue. I had never done any of this stuff. They're like, nope, you're doing this. We're buying this. Let's go. I'm like, okay, I'll eat, drink, all of it. Let's go. And then I was trying to watch the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight at the same time, and I was just like, I was good. The fight's already over.
Yeah,
I've got to focus elsewhere. But yeah, no, yeah, so much food. Like I ate more at this convention than I've eaten at any convention ever.
Yeah,
which isn't saying much because like I didn't eat at TwitchCon, but yeah, Dream Hack was all food all the time. I think I drank of the 4 days total that I was in California. I probably drank like 8 deals of boba tea because we don't have that here either, and I'm a huge fan of it. So I was like, I'm gonna get my fill before I go home.
Yeah,
but apparently, WonderCon, which is kind of like a smaller San Diego Comic-Con, is next in the pipes for me. I think I'm going back out there in April for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just real quick on the soju. How'd you like the soju? Because
oh, dude, it was so good.
Soju, it's one of those things that one of my best friends is half Korean, and so he introduced it to me along with a lot of other Korean food. Like gochujang is a wonderful condiment if you know how to mix it right with different stuff. But yeah, soju it's a sneaky liquor. It's a very sneaky liquor.
Very, very. We had, between the 3 guys that were drinking it, we had 3 full bottles. And I don't know how much of it I drink. I may have drank more than 1 bottle of it.
Yeah, you can with that, because a lot of times they sell it in small bottles. So you can, it is a very sneaky liquor. It will kick your ass if you're not careful, because they get a lot of like the lightly flavored kind of sweet. My favorite is there's like a grapefruit.
Ooh.
There's a brand that puts out a grapefruit flavored soju, which I like way more than the neutral spirit or the neutral flavor. It kicked my ass the next morning. It was one of the worst hangovers I think I've ever had.
Luckily, I am immune to hangovers, so I got pretty gone though. We Ubered everywhere, so I didn't have to worry about that. It was nice. I will say this: I can talk about this. It was something I was going to say for my first stream on my channel back, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and share it. One of the people I talked to actually runs PR for Dead by Daylight, like I had talked about. Well, when I told him what I was doing there, that I was running the Twitch channel for AFH, and we were discussing things to do with charity stuff, maybe possible keys for giveaways for fundraisers in the future and everything. He asked if I was a streamer, and I gave him a poker chip and my card, and I was wearing my Zebo's Funhouse shirt at the time, and he put 2 and 2 together. He goes, "What's this Zebo's Funhouse thing?" And this is before I even knew he worked on Dead by Daylight. And I was like, I started explaining it to him, and his eyes lit up because, I always play the clown killer on Dead by Daylight as Zebo. And his eyes just lit up. He goes, "I'm in charge of PR, of the PR company that works for Dead by Daylight." And so he was like, "The clown is one of our least popular killers. Let me know." He goes, "Email me when you decide to do this again. And we're going to try to get some eyes on the clown, and we're going to use you to do it." And I was like, okay.
I watched Zebo play the clown, and it was I enjoyed that stream.
Like, I've got to get used to it on the computer now, and I'm going to have to play off stream because I'm going to have to. I told him I was a sniper with that pink bottle, which I kind of am, but I need to make it 100%. I'm like, I'm going to have to do it.
I should have you. I can organize some rank 1s for you to do some kill your friends with to practice.
We'll rig the whole thing.
I'll get the game.
We'll rig the whole thing. I'm gonna need y'all all to be absolutely terrible.
I guarantee.
Oh no,
first
I'm not
time
gonna
I ever play a game. Ever.
We're not gonna feed. We're going to make you get good. I will call Daddy Darkside up to get you some rank 1s to have to try to fucking kill.
Oh God.
I will.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to start from scratch. Like I had the clown prestige, and I never played Dead by Daylight outside of Azebo's Funhouse, so it becomes like one of those things where it's a little like there's some time between them where I can get rusty and stuff. So it's like now I'm gonna have to get in tune. I'm gonna have to start from scratch at level 1.
Yeah.
Boo.
Cool. Anything else on Dream Hack?
No, that's pretty much the long and short of it. It ended up becoming like a little bit work, but more like a vacation, honestly. We went and saw Violet Evergarden. It's an anime movie based on a Netflix anime. And it was at like this free nonprofit local theater that we were able to just walk into and go see.
Nice.
So there was just like a lot of little side stuff that we went and did just here and there. Just walked around Santa Ana and Anaheim for a while. Looked at kind of like the architecture where a lot of things are made of. What is that? The like kind of rock shingles that everything's made out of. I can't remember what that stuff's called, but just it was really cool. A lot of side stuff, but it became more of a vacation than an actual work trip. Now E3 is going to be a completely different monster, but I'll report back to that one when it happens. I'll be your first exclusive on some of the new games coming.
Yeah. Anything else on DreamHack, guys?
I'm good.
So let me ask you guys real quick what we want to do here for the show. Do we want to go into our next story, or do we want to take a quick ad break?
It's up to you. I don't. Yeah.
Let's go.
Does anyone need to pee?
That's really the question here. You're good? All right. Let's go on ahead. Let's talk about our next story, and then we'll take a quick break. So this next story is apparently Tiger Electronics is re-releasing those cheap-ass drugstore games that you guys used to play in the back of your mom and dad's cars. Do you guys remember these things? Like, it was like these brightly colored things. It would always be a licensed thing, Little Mermaid, X-Men. It'd have like a colored screen, and then just like it would have like a colored backing, and then this little black and white LCD screen.
Mm-hmm. I used to have a fighting game like that.
Yeah,
I had a golf game. Oh,
yeah.
Only thing more fun than real golf is Tiger Electronic Golf.
I love real golf though.
I do too, actually.
I love real golf. I'm not gonna lie. I love playing golf. But I'm gonna have to back Danny up there for a second. They may be cheap ass, but they're near and dear to every person's heart.
Oh, they're so nostalgic. Like almost everybody at least had some exposure to those.
Yeah. Well, in the Tiger Electronic ones weren't the only ones out there, so I'm sure somebody or everybody out there who is listening to the show has something in their mind similar to these.
They had those little sticks that you would connect, like the little fighting sticks, and it was the same kind of principle, but you would like level up your fighter and then like connect to another dude and fight each other. I remember, and it was the same kind of,
the same like materials.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the Tiger Electronics are reissuing those. It's going to cost $15 exclusively at GameStop.
I buy all my games.
It's going to feature Sonic the Hedgehog, X-Men, Transformers, and The Little Mermaid. Are just a couple of the franchises they're bringing. First off, the GameStop thing. I don't think this is going to save GameStop. It's a valiant try, but it's not going to do much for their bottom line.
People will still find a way to do this digitally.
They're like,
yeah, nice.
They're like, GameStop's like, how are we going to get out of this fucking rut? What does everyone know and will buy? Help, please.
The worst part about that though is like they dropped money on the rights to be allowed to sell it, right?
Oh yeah,
like, guaranteed.
There's no way they're gonna make enough profit to be like, oh, and I'll buy like an Xbox, one Tiger Electronic, and an Xbox One, please.
Yeah. Well, it's like the only thing I can think of. It's like you put it in like a themed display, right? It's like, we have a new X-Men game coming out. Let's go on ahead and put like the little Tiger Electronics X-Men thing. Oh, and all the Funko Pops. we have the Wolverine and Cyclops Funko Pops. Let's just put them right here on the display, and we'll throw a couple posts. Like, right, that's the only thing I can or like Sonic, right? Sonic was one of them. That's the other one. I'm like, okay, yeah, you can maybe like make an entire display, and for like a new Sonic game or the Sonic movie, and just put it there and hope that someone's gonna grab that $15 thing, wishing for the nostalgia trip. That was.
My problem with going into GameStop is taking my wife in, who doesn't play video games, because what does she buy? Right? She's the exact person that, she buys all that shit. All those pops and all that stupid Disney random box loot crap. She's super into that stuff. I go in there to get my one $10 game that's on sale, and I've spent $25 because she's got to have this or that.
She's gonna be watching this, and she's gonna ream you a new one. She's like, "You think I like simple crap?"
Ago. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm safe. I'm safe.
She'll hit you with the game's simple enough where I'll like it, huh?
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious as to really who was buying this. Like, why is this a thing? I checked eBay, and I think the re-release, the news that this is getting re-released, because this is a few days old now, jacked up the prices to about $25-$30 is what I saw most of them at. The most I saw them at was about $75, and that was for like a package of them, like a grouping of them, like 4 or 5 of them, and they weren't even like these specific franchise ones. Like, they were just like a hodgepodge of like Tiger Electronics Golf and like Sonic, and then a few others. So I don't know who really was asking for this. I think it's an interesting marketing technique. Good for GameStop for getting the rights to dropping the cash on the exclusivity rights for it. But
yeah, I think a lot of companies are just trying to figure out how on earth can we capitalize on this regularly cycled nostalgia trip people keep going on. Like when Surge came back. Like, was anybody really super chomping at the bit to get back on Surge?
But did you not get Surge the moment it came out?
Exactly. Nobody was sitting there waiting for it to come back out, and then when it came back out, everybody got it. But you're seeing it more and more. Like, I'm pretty sure Crystal Pepsi did the same thing.
Yeah.
And then like I guarantee you're gonna end up seeing like 3D Doritos, because there's this like random subculture of people that are just
God willing.
Right. But there's this random subculture of people that are just like really, really in tune with the 90s, and they're not even from the 90s. And I think maybe they're just trying to reach out to cater to them, because there is this like random like burst of 90s nostalgia coming back, and who knows, maybe they did a focus group and accidentally got a bunch of those people at once. They're like, this is going to sell like hotcakes, and they sell like 10. Like, well, those 10 bought them, I guess.
the Jinko Cholo shorts and colored Hurley shirts are definitely coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Fruit stripe gum is going to be coming in hard. Now lasting 25 seconds.
I just saw Vanilla Ice dropped a new song.
Boom.
Oh no.
Case in point.
Wait, did he stop his Home Improvement show to do that?
I don't know. He was doing he did a country rap song with like a couple of country rappers.
Biggest woof.
He'll probably end up. He probably built his own studio in one of those renovated houses, recorded the album, and then tore down the studio and put a more open concept.
Right.
Hey, he's still got the 5-0. Okay.
So how many of these things did you guys have? Did you guys have any of them?
I had 3.
Yeah, I had a couple.
Yeah.
I had the football one.
Mm-hmm.
I had the original Sonic the Hedgehog one, and I had like a generic fighting one that didn't have any characters anybody knew.
Yeah. So I didn't have any of these, or go ahead, Green.
I had none of them.
None of them. I didn't have any of these specifically, but I had a couple of those $15, $20 all-in-one game consoles that just had like the handheld ones that had like a little LCD screen on them. And I mentioned this because I just want to let my mom know that she never really grounded me as a kid. So these things had like Snake and Tetris and Tanks and a few other games on them. And I'm sure if I was a smart young man, I probably could have figured out how to put Pokemon on these fucking things. But whenever my mom grounded me from like my Game Boy or my GameCube or took the TV out of my room, I always had one of these hidden in the room. So I went to bed. I just grabbed a flashlight because, of course, it wasn't backlit. So I just grabbed a flashlight and played like with this forbidden object that I'm not supposed to have.
I lucked out. I got the clip-on book light and just snapped it on. So I had that going for me. It was
nice.
It was Life Hacks 101 back in the day.
Yeah. And I will send this clip to my mom and see what she says. She's probably just gonna be like, meh. But if she comes up with anything clever, which I'm challenging her to do, I'm challenging her to come up with something clever. I will share it with the audience, probably
Do
on
it, Mom.
Twitter.
Do it.
Do it. I challenge you, Mom. I dare. I bet you won't. I bet you won't. So yeah, you guys can pick that up for 15. Pick up the Tiger Electronics drugstore video games for $15 now at GameStop exclusively. So let's go on ahead. Unless you guys have anything else to add, we'll take a quick break and be back in about 2 minutes. Sound good?
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Be back in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
All right, and we are back. You guys good?
Welcome back. Yeah, I'm back.
We're back.
That was the fastest like jerk off session I think I've ever seen Rev do.
It was crazy, right?
It was insane. He's like, I'm
We're
gonna
capturing
get
the video just in case y'all want to get on this.
Just commendable.
Phenomenal.
I
My fingers are stuck. Hold on.
Onlyfans.com/RevSven.
Yep. Boom. That's because you get to watch them watch.
Are you selling your water, your shower water, my dude?
No, but I am, but I'm catching it off my beard. It's coming out. Like I keep the bottle right there.
I can only get so erect, my dude.
You're welcome.
So we have some new details released by Microsoft related to the Xbox Series X, which I think would be probably a good thing for us to talk about. Now, I feel like I hear a train coming. I do, so I'm going to apologize But yeah, so Phil Spencer put out some new information out at information out for the Xbox Series X. Do you guys want me to get ready to just talk about the specs? We're just going ahead and talk about the specs.
Yeah,
Lay it
flop
on,
it on me.
Cool. So the Microsoft Xbox Series X will have a AMD Zen 2 with RDNA 2 architecture. Some quotes here. It will, quote, deliver 4 times the processing power of an Xbox One and enabling developers to leverage 12 teraflops of GPU performance, twice that of an Xbox One X, and more than 8 times the original Xbox One. It's going to offer higher frame rates with support for up to 120 frames per second and more sophisticated game worlds. It will also have variable rate shading, which he describes, he being Phil Spencer, describes saying, quote, rather than spending GPU cycles uniformly on every single pixel on the screen, they can prioritize individual effects on a specific game character or important environmental objects. This technique results in more stable frame rates and higher resolution with no impact on the final image quality.
Breathe, my guy. Breathe.
Don't you miss the day when they would just double it from 32 to 64-bit?
So here's some more. There's he also promised DirectX ray tracing with, quote, true to life lighting, accurate reflections, and realistic acoustics in real time. So that's the graphic and processing end of this machine. I believe we talked in our Discord chat a little bit when we were talking about this story. 12 teraflops is roughly to 2080, right? Green?
1080.
1080.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
1080 Ti. A 1080 Ti was approximately 11.94 teraflops. But with the addition of ray tracing, that they're saying that they have in this as well, that's a big difference as well. Because the 1080s don't have ray tracing. The only cards that have ray tracing right now are the NVIDIA GeForce or the RTX. It's the RTX 20 series, so the 20, 50, 60, 70, and 80, and their TI counterparts as well. So AMD has not released a ray tracing card yet.
No, they are working on it
first.
Though.
Yeah, well, this right here, if they're saying that they're, and that's a custom card.
Mm-hmm.
That is custom made for Xbox. So, but their next gen that they are coming out with this year, they've been saying that they're going to be releasing ray tracing with that as well.
Mm-hmm. So that's the processing side of things. Any other comments, questions, opinions that you guys want to share on the processing side of the Xbox Series X?
I have no questions, but I mean that seems like a heavy duty console for, by comparison, because I mean the Xbox One X was pretty solid, and for it to be that much ahead of that, I'm really intrigued by what the price point's going to be on it.
Well,
that's the game, right?
Yeah, they need to be high up. They need to be there, especially if they want this console to be 8 years down the road, for a life cycle.
Yeah.
You think that's doable? You think 8 years is realistically doable?
Well, I mean, that's what they've done with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. It's about 8 years, 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard PlayStation talking about possibly that even being, like the PS5 being the last in line for actual. Yeah, they're actual like consoles, and it's like, what's next? Like what can they even do?
They just get into PC gaming or cloud gaming.
Don't be surprised. I mean, that's another thing. Real just brief detail. I tried out GeForce Now on my laptop when we were out there at Dream Hack, and I wasn't even hardwired in, and I didn't have any problems playing Dauntless. The input lag wasn't anything that I wouldn't say anything with a actual competitive first person shooter, but I mean it felt like playing it on my Xbox. Like it was fine. It was actually really impressive.
Yeah. Which we'll talk about GeForce Now. We have some new details to talk about GeForce Now, but we'll talk about that here very shortly. Storage. Let's talk about storage. Storage will be an SSD hard drive, which will reduce load times and allow for functions called Quick Resume, which I thought this was interesting. He described it as, he again being Phil Spencer, quote, lets you continue multiple games from a suspended state almost instantly, returning you to where you were and what you were doing without waiting through a long loading screen. So a lot like a cloud save is kind of how I would describe it, where you just kind of pick up and leave off wherever you're at. Any thoughts, opinions on the fact that it's going to be an SSD? It's my guess is it's probably going to be they're probably going to sell higher, like maybe 400 500 gig, or I'm sorry, not 400 500 gig, probably close to like what am I thinking of, probably 5 or 6 terabyte drives. Sorry, my brain was like doing the decimal point placements. I'm
you
thinking
hear the Windows reboot sound.
Yeah, right, exactly.
For solid state, it just depends on what style of solid state.
Yeah,
because if it's just a 2.5 solid state, I mean, they're fast, but NVMe is faster and smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go NVMe, I mean, that's good on them.
Which I want to say we've mentioned that before, that they have that.
I don't know. Last time we were talking about Xbox, we were talking about they should go NVMe.
Yeah, was that I think the last time we talked about it was somebody doing a breakdown of what it could potentially cost. Just like doing like a price per, like a price per part kind of breakdown compared to PC gaming.
They're doing an NVMe SSD, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the cloud save, the quick resume kind of being analogous to a cloud save. Just kind of pick up, load wherever you're at the time. So they've worked on reducing input and output latency as well. So here's some of the stuff that's related to that. Quote, we're optimizing latency in the player to console pipeline, starting with our Xbox wireless controller, which leverages our high bandwidth proprietary wireless communication protocol when connected to the console. With dynamic latency input, DLI, a new feature which synchronizes input immediately with what is displayed. Controls are even more precise and responsive. Thoughts on that?
No.
No, that's all good. They also have, quote, we've partnered with the HDMI forum and TV manufacturers to enable the best gaming experience through features such as auto low latency mode, ALLM, and variable refresh rate, VRR. ALLM allows Xbox One and Xbox Series X to automatically set the connected display to its lowest latency mode. VRR synchronizes the display's refresh rate to the game's frame rate, maintaining smooth visuals without tearing, ensuring minimal lag and the most responsive gaming experience.
That sounds like snake oil. I'm not gonna lie.
Wolf tickets, one of the two.
I lost you there.
Oh, I mean, you'd have to buy you can't just force a TV to increase its frame rate.
But they're working with them to make it so it doesn't happen.
Well, you'd have to buy a
smarter, get a monitor.
Yeah, you'd have to buy a brand new TV on top of an Xbox Series X or Xbox X for short.
Oh,
yeah, it's gonna be the X.
I'm with
Everyone
it.
likes it.
Yeah. So someone in chat, this sounds like marketing jargon for here's the new box for new games here. Yeah. I mean, this comes straight from Phil Spencer, so it's definitely marketing jargon. It's definitely meant to sound impressive and like it's a, like an E3 announcement sort of kind of what it's supposed to sound like. So what do you guys think of these improvements? Are they improvements in your opinion? Do you think this is substantial enough to upgrade from the Xbone? And I mean, what do you guys think the price is going to be? I mean, I have it here like $400, $500, but that might not be it. As we know, what value do you think this is? This is going to come up in the market? Go ahead.
I think it's going to go over $500.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, especially when everyone's like looking into PCs now.
Yeah,
And
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this processor too. It's what 8 cores, 3.6 gigahertz. I mean, that sounds rather good for a console. You know, considering you're not going to be running a whole lot of extras and stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be dedicated to the task at hand. Borderline. I mean, it almost seems like overkill.
Yeah.
And then you add on top of it the custom graphics card, and then you got the SSD coming in. It's going to end up coming out to be a pretty expensive piece. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was even close to like 650, 700.
Oh, I bet they don't top 6 though. I bet that, man, it's got to be hard to convince those parents to drop 6 on an Xbox. I think
They'll drop in price eventually, and they'll come out with probably a streamlined version of it, like a slim or something like that for the parents. But because a lot of this gaming seems like it's being targeted away from kids and more towards the generation that grew up on it now. At least in my opinion, it feels that way because I mean, you look at all the marketing that they've already put out for it. They're talking games like Hellblade 2 and stuff like that in their opening marketing tactics for this. And that's definitely not a kid's game anyways. And there's a lot of backwards compatibility with it and everything. So there's going to be a lot of parents that aren't they're just going to buy, the same games that are already in existence because most kids are stuck on Minecraft, Fortnite anyways. So I think that this might just be a target at adult gamers that can't stray away from the console and don't want to make the leap to PC for some kind of, some reason or another.
I feel
That's
like
just
that's the
obviously personal
demographic they're
opinion.
targeting too. Yeah, it's the people that are looking into the PC world but don't want to make that leap. I think that's who they're targeting. They're like, oh well, we have this system that runs damn near as good as a PC, if not better than most budget PCs. So buy this instead, save a couple $100.
Yeah, because I mean, when you look at it, yeah, I mean, even at even like let's say it goes to 6, I mean, that would be cheap. I mean, that's like almost a budget build in and of itself, and these specs are pretty solid. I mean, you've got 16 gigs RAM, you've got the custom graphics card and processor with the high video output, and it does. This seems like it's definitely not only is it targeted at more serious gamers based on marketing material, but the fact that they're putting out exactly what they're putting in this thing, and it's kind of at the forefront, seems to be a thing for me.
I bet they take a loss on making these to get people to buy them though, early on. Would be my guess because they've done that in the past, I think.
Which I don't think that's entirely incorrect because it seems like a big part of their business model right now is focusing on Game Pass and Xbox Live, really trying to get people in on that. So it would make sense if sure, we take a loss on this console by maybe by a little bit of cash, but if we get them on the Game Pass Gold and whatever else, that's a recurring purchase every month that we just kind of hook them into. So I think there is some validity to that idea.
I wonder if they'll bring the price of those back up because $15 a month. I know a lot of people on Xbox who don't even spend on like they don't even entertain the idea of Game Pass, or they weren't entertaining the idea of Game Pass until they bundled it in with the Xbox Live. and they were actually upset because it caused Xbox Live to go up $5 a month.
Yeah.
So I don't. I mean, and plus, if you're going to try to get people to invest in that, you're going to have to add more games to it, because there are some good ones on there, but they come and go. It's not like an ever expanding library. They add games, they take them away. So you're still going to have to try to convince people to buy the games as well. Which with Game Pass, a lot of times, if a game is getting ready to leave, they'll offer it digitally for a discount. But I mean, yeah, it would probably be a lot on the external storage that they're going to offer up when it comes to trying to get people to buy these games if they're running SSD. And a lot of games are bought digitally these days. So they could probably make a lot of money selling external hard drives, but I don't know. It's just, it seems like a lot for a console. Cause I don't think PS5 will go this extreme.
Yeah.
They have they announced anything on it yet?
Well, this is on paper too, mind you. This is not. This is what they're projecting. This is not something that's tried and proven. It's like,
good.
My 2080 Super isn't 12 teraflops, and it's saying that the custom AMD CPU or GPU that they're putting out is going to outperform a 2080 Super. So, and in a smaller package on top of that. I don't know. I mean it once it comes out and it actually gets tested and proven that those specs are what they're saying they're going to be, then it'll be something to actually look at.
Yeah. One thing I was going to mention real quick, you just mentioned about digital cells. I don't think this is going to have an optical drive on it. They didn't mention it at all. There is no mention of an optical drive.
It's going to be exclusively digital.
I don't know if it'll be exclusively digital, but certainly that was not thought to put in any details. Unless I missed it, which is entirely possible. I could have just missed it. Maybe it was like buried. Oh, and by the way, yeah, it's going to have an optical drive.
Oh, it's going to have a 4K Blu-ray optical drive according to the specs here.
Okay.
Yeah, because on the bottom left of the picture
I lost a little bit of you there.
On the picture of the article, there's like a slot on the bottom left-hand corner.
Okay.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
It's going to have a 4K Blu-ray drive, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
makes
4K
sense.
Blu-ray. And it's going to have 3 USBs, an HDMI 2.1, and a possible, CF Express expansion. Don't know what that is.
CF Express. That does not... Of course, my brain is kind of fried from a very long day, but I can't put that in my head.
Well, when you tab over to that on an article on that, it's actually it's supposed to be for an expandable storage for SSD cards.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Compact flash
drive. Got you.
Interesting. Okay.
Got you. Okay, so they want to be able to put flash storage in. Okay.
That's just really interesting.
Yeah, flash SSD, so you still don't lose your loading speeds and everything. Interesting.
So yeah, I mean I'm curious to see what we'll probably see an official retail price at E3. I'm very curious about it, if not really just for the fact, if not for the fact that it's an Xbox, just to see how it's going to compare to a PC, not only in performance but in price, because they're certainly making it look like this is going to be a PC and cloud gaming competitor, and not just a competitor against the Sony PlayStation 5.
Right. Yeah, because it's gonna have to go beyond just the console wars at this point, because I mean, yeah, how many people do you talk about? PlayStation or Xbox? Oh, I play PC. It's they're gonna have to try to make a competition there, because I think the console market's losing out now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, your ones that are branded like towards your children are more like Nintendo, and I never really included them in the console war because they're just kind of their own thing. They have an entire complete their target demographic in and of itself is different.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo has never tried to compete on an actual performance basis. When you look at the guts of a Nintendo Wii, it's not that big of an improvement compared to the GameCube.
It's all about the titles and the fandom.
Exactly. It was about the titles and the innovation.
And the storytelling.
Yeah.
The storytelling is huge with Nintendo, and they do a great job of it. So it's really cool to see them be their own thing. But for the other two who have been competing on a performance level for the longest time, they're going to have to get their toes wet into trying to compete with the PC, and it may fail miserably, and they'll have to go back. But you never know.
Yeah. Somebody in chat did. What's that?
You know what would help them out?
What's that?
A modular design.
Right. Remember when that was a theory for the longest time? It was just like you could pull something out and upgrade it.
That was a theory he's been pushing.
I mean, I remember hearing people talk about that for a few years now, and it seems like it would be the smart move.
Yeah.
But Razer beat them to it with a PC.
So someone in chat did just say or ask, is it going to be backwards compatible like PS5? I believe it is going to have some backwards compatibility. We're going to talk about, we have an article for that, but we'll talk about it next week on the show. There's just a lot of details here to get into the actual specs. So talking about some of the backwards compatibility stuff with Xbox Series X, the game, the Game Pass and all that stuff, and some of the future plans that they've announced so far. We'll talk about that next week. Anything else on Xbox Series X details that you guys want to talk about? Any opinions, conspiracy theories, how we want to talk about?
Ooh, conspiracy theories?
Yeah.
Aliens.
That's
why Alienware is making a handheld.
Oh, damn. Go ahead, Elliot.
I just want a price.
Yeah. Really, that's where I'm at too.
And if it's not coming out till the holidays, E3 would be the perfect time to drop a price.
I mean, price determines if I'm buying a console or if I'm just sticking to PC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
they're on that classic good, bad, and the ugly standoff.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're just like PlayStation and Xbox are like considering who's gonna.
Which is kind of funny to watch too.
You gonna drop the price? Are you gonna drop the price?
It's a pricing Cold War.
Because they both know they both know they're fucked on price. They're just like, we just want to see which one of us will cave first.
Yeah,
I think.
Cool. Do we want to move on to our next story here then?
Yas, Queen, yas.
Yas. So Bethesda has pulled their games from GeForce Now. All but one of them, which was Wolfenstein Youngblood for some reason.
That's an oddly specific game to
yeah
to pull.
Well,
but it's so funny seeing like these companies that are pulling out of NVIDIA GeForce Now. It seems like they're all these companies that have had some kind of controversy over one of their titles over the last couple of years or more, or something they've done behind, Blizzard, Activision, now Bethesda. Next thing you know, we're all going to be heartbroken that EA is pulling out of it and all that. It's funny that all these companies that kind of get this backlash are the ones pulling out of it.
Well, go ahead, Green.
I don't understand though. Like they're not releasing a reason why that Bethesda makes stuff.
It may have something to do with it may have something to do with contracts with the launchers or something, and maybe they're losing out because they're having to pull from the launchers to use this other computer, or it may have something to do with monitoring demographic stuff if they're pulling from servers in a single location.
Yeah,
there's no it's really hard to tell without a set in stone announcement.
At least with Activision, they at least said something about it, like, oh, it was a misunderstanding, we're working on fixing it.
I wonder. No, sorry, I didn't see you done.
No, go ahead.
I wonder if they all are pulling out for the same reason and they're not telling us. Like I wonder if Blizzard was the first, and then Bethesda's like, oh, we noticed this too. Now we're done.
I think what they were saying with the GeForce for Activision, they had previously been agreeing during the beta testing when it wasn't called GeForce Now, but when they decided to go live, they are like, "Oh, you didn't really talk to us about your actual full go live."
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was just it. It's like these two multi-million-dollar firms just didn't talk about what was going to happen when this service went live. I seem, and just kind of like in the conversation, I vaguely remember hearing some folks over at id who is a part of the Bethesda umbrella during E3 say that they're working on some sort of cloud gaming network. So it could be something to do with future plans from Bethesda. But it's very hard to tell without, which would explain if they didn't want to necessarily talk about that any more than what they already said at E3. That could be an explanation. I think to go with kind of Padre here, I think it would make sense if it was some sort of, launcher contract or something like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, because we don't know what if there was any talks of the whole charging the $5 a month for the premium service, and they're maybe not getting a cut of that, and they're like, hey, if we're gonna have our games on there, we deserve a cut of that $5 a month, or some kind of contract negotiation for the paid service went through or fell through, because that would actually make a ton of sense. But again, you would think if it was something like that for the studios to save face, they would put out there, hey, we couldn't come to terms on a contract without. I mean, Bethesda hasn't really put out anything.
Yeah.
On why they did it. So
I don't think Bethesda wants to do a streaming service. I don't think it would be wise for them to do a streaming service.
Probably not.
There may be security issues because Bethesda's just recovering from that Fallout 76 thing, and they may not agree with some of the security protocol within the GeForce software. Because with it having to go through a whole new server and everything, there may be it may be a complete save face, try to stop it before it happens kind of move.
Yeah, well, I don't know how that would necessarily work, because this is basically just functioning as another PC. Now, some people have said that, this could be because, they want people to buy the games. Well, the people already getting the licenses from whatever launcher. I don't remember who said this.
Exactly.
It was somebody who I watched who put out the theory that, it's because they want people to buy licenses for streaming services. Well, first off, if this is some sort of grand conspiracy between all these publishers and like Google Stadia, where Google Stadia says you're going to buy the license to stream the game, okay, maybe. But the other idea is that this is just another PC. You open and launch everything like it's another PC. So the license, you already have the money from the license when someone already purchased the game the first time.
Whoever was spreading that misinformation, shame.
Well, I wouldn't say it's misinformation. I think it was just theorizing and pontificating, not realizing that you just use licenses already. And like I said, I don't remember exactly who. It was a tweet. It could be, I have like 4 or 5 names on the top of my head that I think saw that, but who I think probably said that.
But still, I mean, like, I wouldn't say, I don't know. It's just me. Like, why would you say something about?
Yeah,
it's exactly what they're doing anyways. Like, you're already paying for the license. It's using your previous licensing with Steam and everything. You're just logging in.
Which, so I will say, with Bethesda themselves kind of pulling out, I'm actually a little disappointed, because I wouldn't mind buying Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3. Or, well, I already have Fallout 3 on Steam, but I wouldn't mind buying Fallout New Vegas, because those games, those two specifically, have a lot of Windows 10 incompatibility issues, and they crash constantly for me. Fallout 3 crashes constantly for me, basically to the point of unplayable. So I actually wouldn't mind seeing those on there, so I could actually play the fucking games. I would actually buy Fallout New Vegas to play on GeForce Now.
I'm not disappointed. I'll say it. I'm not disappointed. Bethesda's been in bad standings with me for a while. I've just not been enjoying their direction and content, especially within the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, no. Since Fallout 4, I have not been a fan of Bethesda by any stretch. Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Skyrim are some of my favorite games.
The only thing that I can really stand from Bethesda at the time is ESO.
Yeah. Well, that's not even Bethesda. That's ZeniMax.
Exactly. That's the messed up part. Like, Bethesda has a hand in it, but it's mainly ZeniMax. So, who are we really giving credit to?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was never a fan of Skyrim. Don't hate me. I just don't like the game.
Shame.
I don't care.
I never played it.
It is so much walking, and the same with Fallout and everything. There's just like, I cannot stand games where you are just walking all the time. I cannot do it. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So,
let's see. Oh, I had there's apparently Cyberpunk 2077 is coming to GeForce now though. They're even getting a exclusive NVIDIA graphics card, like a bright yellow graphics card for Cyberpunk 2077. So I don't know. Maybe I'll actually buy. Cyberpunk 2077 and play it on GeForce Now.
Yeah, I mean, that would, as long as you have the internet to support it, it's actually not. I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I know I have a PC that wouldn't be able to run it at full specs, probably, more than likely.
I'm definitely getting 2077.
Yeah.
I'm hyped.
So real quick, I did get a message, and I just want to do a quick congratulations for somebody. Crane, were you gonna say the same thing or do the same thing? What's that?
Hold up. Okay, so in chat. Oh wait, I should probably ask him if this is cool. Let's ask him if he's cool. It's cool with this.
Donley, is it cool if we say this live on the podcast? I'm going to apologize to the
I was gonna say it's too late now. Right. He's got to do it.
He's got to do it.
All right.
I'll let
Don't
you do
play
it,
fair, K9. My man right there in chat, in live on chat for all of you that are in the Twitch chat. He just had his baby. Congratulations, Big Chief.
Congratulations. Yeah, why are you here?
He's been talking about it for like the last 2 weeks. He's been like, I might need to leave at any time. I might not be on the next week. And then finally, boom.
Let's just say he didn't have the baby. His wife had the baby.
We said the same thing when Bubby's wife had the baby. Bubby's wife, she had the baby, and he was hanging out. I'm like, dude, why are you here?
Yeah.
Big suggestion. The name either Green or
Mr.
Dakota.
Dakota Science. Sven is a really nice Scandinavian strong name. Kind of like the reindeer from Frozen.
I think the name Danny sounds really nice. The ink's not dry on that birth certificate yet. I guarantee.
Just go get some whiteout from Walgreens.
Exactly. It's okay. It's just an official document. You only get one of them.
It'll rub out.
So
I still think Sven's a great name, even though her name is Olivia. Olivia Sven Fair K. That's a great name.
Cool. So anything else on the Bethesda pulling out of GeForce Now? I still don't know why they left just Wolfenstein Youngblood. That's a very specific, and that was a game that did not do well critically.
Maybe that's why they're like, this one did crap. Let's just leave it on there.
Maybe someone will play it now, but people have to buy it still. That's the problem. People still have to buy it to play it on GeForce Now.
Here's the question though: Does Wolfenstein have multiplayer, or is it a single player game?
That's just a single. That might be co-op.
I was gonna say I didn't know if maybe like online compatibility of stuff like that may have played a factor into it. Like when it comes to I mean, I guess Skyrim's technically not an online game, is it?
I was gonna say, you know, with seeing how they've handled multiplayer in the past, Fallout 76, I can't imagine that was a big deciding factor.
That is very true. Unless they're learning, they're like, no, we can't do it anymore. You know what? Let's just stick to what we know, and that's making walking simulators.
We have to be good for the 5 players that play this game.
I would really like to talk to a Fallout 76 player, someone who does play that game, and just be like, oh, why do you feel like this is like some sort of repentance for a past sin? Is that do you feel like you deserve this?
Why, Todd? Why?
Okay, so nothing else on that particular topic?
No, sir, Chief.
All right. Any other news stories that we wanted to talk about at all?
NVIDIA dropped a Cyberpunk 2077 custom 2080 Ti.
Mm-hmm.
It is yellow, and it looks god awful.
It's pretty god.
Yeah, it's very gaudy. But I mean, if you like yellow and a lot of money on the graphics card, it does say Cyberpunk 2077 on it.
Nice. Cool. Well, let's go on ahead and end the show here then. Mr. Elliot argues, go on ahead and tell the folks what you do and where people can find it.
Yeah, you can find my podcast, Tessa and Elliot Argue, wherever you find podcasts. With my wife and I, it's good fun, good, clean, Christian fun, and all of that was a lie. I also do Budget Arcade with Scott and Jeff. We play free-to-play games. I guess you can listen to that if you run out of stuff to listen to on the first podcast. Tess and Elliot Argue first, Budget Arcade if you have time, I guess. They're not listening. Fuck those guys.
Wait, hold on. Whoops, I just knocked my mic cable. Are they in the chat? Let's see. Let's see if they're in chat right now. If not, then I'm sure I'll get an angry message later. They are not.
Yeah, fuck those guys. They're
fuck
not
those
guys. Yeah, you don't need them.
What about all your social medias?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Elliot_argues. So we have a website, budgetarcade.com for Budget Arcade, Instagram, Budget Arcade Facebook. So we're all there. So feel free to follow. I follow back.
Awesome. Mr. Greenlee, what's coming up on your channel?
I am actually going to I'm going to go back to Destiny 2 for most of my streams. Just because I am about 3 months behind on the season pass, and I spent money on it, and I would like to complete it before it ends. So if you like Destiny 2, come check me out. I like Destiny 2. And I'm sure I'll sprinkle some Apex in there as well.
Yeah. Social medias.
Everything is Mr. Greenlee except for Instagram, which is TV Mr. Greenlee. I don't want to talk about it. Fight me. And then of course I'm always live on Monday, Wednesday, Friday on twitch.tv/Mr. Greenlee.
Nice. Padre.
Hello. No, you can find me pretty much anywhere under RevSven, but on social medias you'll just have to add TV after it because some Norwegian priest I think took it from me. Coming up though, I'm gonna be actually testing out a few indie titles, and we're going to be doing some YouTube content on these little short 5-10 minute games I'm going to be putting on my YouTube channel, which you can also find. That's actually just RevSven. And then soon to come, I'll actually have a little interview style podcast myself called Rev's Desk to Desk, which you can find on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcast. Thanks to and was it Deezer? Thanks to Danny K for helping me through that process.
Oh, no need to thank me. No need to thank me at all. I told you to click a button. Coming up on my channel, I think I'll be playing some 7 Days to Die with 9Baz. There's probably a few other games that I'll probably be checking out and doing some looking into. I tried Siege. It didn't really grab me, so probably not going to be... which I played with Joe Retro. I played Siege with Joe Retro last night, which was fun, but it didn't really grab me, so probably not going to be coming up. So yeah, I'll probably be playing some 7 Days to Die, maybe start some Minecraft up again. I'm kind of getting the survival kick a little bit right now. Otherwise, guys, find me on Twitter at DannyK, DANIECAE, as well as on Instagram, same name, DANIECAE. If anything else, guys, before I wrap up the show?
You're so cute when you spell.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I had a blast.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
it was so. Real quick, guys. To end the show, I want to thank everyone who joined us live here on Twitch. It means a lot to us that you guys are here, which I want to say there's a lot of important things, including a Democratic debate, another one tonight. So the fact that you guys are watching us and not that, we greatly appreciate. If you guys want to find us, if you guys miss any part of the show and want to find us, you guys can find the VOD here on Twitch and on YouTube. You guys can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and basically everywhere else podcasts are found. If you guys want to help support the show, if you like what we do, you guys can help support us in a few simple ways. First is to follow us on our individual Twitch channels. You can also help us out by giving us a rating and review on the platform of your choice. You guys can also tell your friends about us on social media or even face-to-face. If you guys want to find more of Elliot, go check him out on Budget Arcade and Tessa and Elliot Argue. You can also find our past episode with Elliot on the podcast feeds if you want more of him. Otherwise, guys, have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you again next week. Bye!
I love you.